This episode of Stories Inside the Man Cave podcast is brought to you by our good friends at Shoal Creek Saloon, where you can have a true Louisiana culinary experience while you get a hint of old Austin as well. Be sure to tell our buddies there, Ray and Brian, that you are a listener or viewer of Stories Inside the Man Cave podcast. November to Remember begins this morning and today. The Big 12 race is very tight. And we'll find out what is it about Kansas State, why Texas fans should be concerned this morning, and we'll let you pick them. Let's talk about it. Matt Leonard, the former USC quarterbacking great, is back or in Austin, Texas, facing a former Demon. That was hilarious. Madonna, one of her great hits. It was perfect. Matt Leonard's got social media down. He's back on the field of the team that won the national championship back in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl that defeated USC. And he's jokingly facing Texas on the field, seeing that logo that has haunted him since January of 2006. Hey, before we get started with Let's Talk About It on this beautiful game day morning in college football, big shout out to this logo over here, Honest AC and Plumbing. Give those guys a call where a handshake still means something. And, of course, Shoal Creek Saloon. This should be your game day headquarters for all college football games. And they have some amazing beers, amazing drinks, great Louisiana delights, and American greatness, such as the traditional hamburger. All right, if you were not aware, champions are made in November. And especially so right now when you consider what the Big 12 race is looking like as we speak before we enter the games today. I mean, check out this. The race right now. I mean, look at this race. As we enter today's games, a five-way tie for the top spot of the Big 12. Iowa State, KSU, Oklahoma, OSU, and Texas. Well, there's two big games involving four of these teams. Kansas State in Austin, then the Bedlam game, which is probably going to be the final Bedlam for a while. Not the actual final, but it's going to be paused for a while. So what you'll see after today is some separation. If you want to call it Separation Saturday, you can do that. This is what fans look forward to. These types of months, the very end, it's literally going to come down to the last week of the regular season to determine those two participants in the Big 12 championship game. And, you know, Steve Sarkisian of Texas, he knows how big this morning's game is, but he also knows how big it is for, or important it is for the Longhorn Nation to show up to DKR this morning, despite the early kickoff.
You know, we need to make sure that our fans are there early and fired up and loud and making DKR as hostile of an environment as there is in the country, which I know it can be. So we're looking forward to that as well. I know our players are excited about that. There's nothing like playing at home, and we only get 6 Saturdays a year to do that.
It's going to be tough to get the fans lubed up and ready. A 11 a.m. kickoff. Most fans will probably arrive on the 40 around 9 a.m., something like that. It's going to be fun down there this morning. But Kansas State, they're trying to figure out who Texas is. In particular, Maalik Murphy making his second start as the quarterback while Quinn Ewers is nursing an AC joint in his throwing arm. So Maalik Murphy didn't start off very well last week, but after that turnover, that touchdown interception, he really got comfortable, got into the rhythm. It's going to be fun to see the development of this young guy. And it's also something that is to Texas' advantage, especially when you consider watching him on film And in this week in particular, to be specific, the Kansas State defense, how do they prepare for them?
And I don't know that we know what's going to come with Maalik Murphy right now. So it's, that will unfold itself as it goes. I think they're going to run their offense and do what they do. I think he's very capable of doing everything that they do. You just don't know how much complexity, they're going to put on some of that stuff. And so it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds.
It'll be a lot of fun because this is where, I am almost positive that Texas is going to pound the running game to get it going. But like Sark said last week after the game, after Maalik's first start, why not go in there, let him throw, ease the jitters. He's still going to have jitters because this is such a big game. I mean, a loss by Texas or a loss by either K-State or Texas in this game really makes it difficult because you've got 3 more weeks and we have no idea what's going to happen. But as far as K-State's identity, think about this. They've got 2 quarterbacks, Avery Johnson and Will Howard, who it felt like he's been around forever. But the thing about Kansas State, they are a very physical team, much like the old K-State teams. They're 6-2 right now, but their 2 losses, one to 12th-ranked Missouri, and they also barely lost to Oklahoma State, which, as we all know now, Mike Gundy's Oklahoma State Cowboys are developing into a legit club, and they have the nation's #1 rusher, OSU does, and Ollie Gordon. But that's another story and another podcast. But keep an eye on Cooper Beebe. He is perhaps the top interior offensive lineman in the country. He literally not only pancaked a University of Houston defensive back last week. I didn't think the guy was going to get up. His feet went over his head. This guy's Cooper Beebe is going to be a problem. But the Texas defensive line, they are one of the top 5 D lines, I believe, in the country. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. Now listen to this. 6 of Kansas State's 8 games, the Wildcats have scored 40-plus points. 40-plus points in 6 of their 8 games. So that's what you're going to have to look forward to. They're physical defensively. They're really developing into one of the nation's better defenses. I mean, they shut out Houston last week, 41-0. That's all you really need to say because Texas allowed Houston to score quite a bit in that game in Houston. But earlier this week, in episode 314, I had Tim Fitzgerald. He is the guy who created GoPowerCat.com, which has been around for a while. Great guy, cancer survivor. I asked him what he thought about Texas and what the key is to this game.
I think this is a game that actually Kansas State matches up pretty well. And these are huge ifs. Anyone who follows Texas knows how good that defensive front is at stymieing the run. K-State has an exceptional offensive line. They struggled early on they had an injury that kind of shuffled guys around, and they just weren't the same. They've really settled in. Cooper Beebe is probably the best interior lineman in the country. He's now wanted by the police for murdering someone on Saturday. He pancaked a Houston Cougar. He didn't really pancake him. He launched him, and he landed like feet above the head. That kind of block on a touchdown run. It was beautiful. He's playing at an exceptional level. So maybe they can do enough in the running game to kind of keep that Texas defense honest and have to account for it, because that changes things. If you can handle a run game just with your front guys, and you're going to sit back there and say, throw the ball, bring it on. But they've got to be able to run it. And now this K-State defense is doing things at a really high level that they might be able to handle what are incredible athletes for Texas simply by trying to take away the run, doing the opposite, kind of pressing the run, trying to take that away and pressure Maalik Murphy, because we saw it in that first game. Maybe he'll take a big sophomore jump here with game 2, but he made some bad decisions under pressure.
There's no doubt about that. We can't deny that. The eye test it's what happened. Kansas State's defenses, for those of you who may be too young to remember, but late 90s, 2000s, those K-State defenses, unreal. They're just blue-collar guys that play sound defense. Texas could lose this game. Texas could win a close one. K-State could win this by a slim margin. I mean, these are two very similar teams, except, Texas does have the edge in overall talent, which they do against a lot of teams. Now, one thing you may recognize somebody on the sidelines if you've been following Texas football for quite some time. A former, one of the great DBs of Texas has been at K-State for a while. He's highly regarded. He's an assistant head coach right now and the pass game coordinator. This guy, proud to call him a friend, Van Malone, returning to the 40. He's done it before. He's a highly respected assistant coach in the college football coaching fraternity, and he's coming back home on the other sideline. But on weeks like this, when you get on the field, the emotions of where you once played, if that's your alma mater, those go out the door. So welcome home, Van. There's some big games this week, week 10, and we're going to pick them. And then I'm going to want you to get involved and submit your picks as I bring up the week 10 picks, big games, which have a lot of the bearing on either the playoff race, the college football playoff polls, or conference races. And we'll begin top left. The Bedlam will be placed on pause for an unknown amount of time. Number 9, Oklahoma at number 22, Oklahoma State. If you follow college football, and I got to cover 6 or 7 of these when I worked in Oklahoma City, Bedlam is a great rivalry. But statistically speaking, it's not a rivalry. OU's the big brother in this, and OSU's the little brother. But it has been more competitive since 2008 than it really has been in the total history of it. It's really sad to see that this rivalry will not be continuing for undetermined amount of time. But, I just really feel like Oklahoma has been struggling lately. They lost at Kansas last week. OSU's taking this route. OU's taking a slight turn south. I just don't know. I'm not feeling OU in this game. I'm feeling what Texas did to A&M in 2011 when they last played. I'm feeling that OSU is going to do that today in Bedlam. So I'm taking the Cowboys in this. Okay, how good is Georgia? People keep questioning how good they are. Well, when the first CFP playoff poll came out, the rankings, well, they were bumped from – they've been number 1 all year. They're now number 2 in the CFP. I think Mizzou makes a game out of this. I really do. But I feel like Georgia finds a way to win in this one in the fourth quarter. I'll take the Dogs. Texas A&M Ole Miss. What is Jimbo's team? Who are they? Are they good enough to win in Oxford, Mississippi? I'm going with the upset. The Aggies over the Rebels in Oxford. All right, a big Big 12 game. Both of the Iowa State's in the title hunt for the Big 12 or in the hunt for a spot in the championship game. The Jayhawks fresh off a win over Oklahoma. I'm going to go ahead and say that KU hands Iowa State their second Big 12 loss. It's going to be a good one up in Ames, but I'm taking the Jayhawks in this one. All right. Lincoln Riley, the Trojans have not looked good down the stretch here lately. They have not. Washington has been winning by the slimmest of margins, finding a way to win and pull away late in the game. I'm going to take the Trojans at the Coliseum to pull off the big upset of the Huskies. The Trojans take down Washington tonight. All right, the big one in the SEC. Alabama hosting number 14 LSU. Has Alabama progressed enough while LSU and both these teams have been improving. Man, this is a tough one. Just haven't felt LSU all year. I really haven't, but they're improving enough. I want to take the Tigers in the upset in Tuscaloosa, which is not good for Texas because Texas needs Alabama to win out to help their CFP resume, so to speak. So what's your take of those games? And I'll place it up on the podcast Twitter handle and on the Instagram page and Facebook page. Who are you picking? Just let us know. And the Twitter page at Stories Man Cave, Stories Inside the Man Cave podcast, Instagram page, and Facebook. Let's get the conversation going before this Texas game kicks off at 11. Man, it's been fun. It's going to be interesting when the next episode of the Pass Rush with Stevie Lee. We may be talking about a lot of movement in the CFP, and we'll predict it. Enjoy this great day of college football as we are kicking off this great November, and interact with us on social media. Have an amazing weekend, and when in doubt, you always know it's always good to talk about it.